Well, we played South Carolina, I guess, 50 times in the history of the series here, and this is the first time that both teams have been ranked. Um, and very much like what I told the coaches at Ole Miss, I'll tell the coaches at South Carolina when I see them tomorrow. It took me 3 years to do. It's taken you guys maybe 18 months or a couple of years. So this is what we work for as coaches, to try to get our programs to be relevant, competitive in our league. And Coach Paris, in my mind, would be hard to think of anybody else that would be the coach of the year in our league, in the sense that he was picked last, and they're currently first or tied for first with Alabama. And so he and his staff have done a tremendous job of rebuilding and putting together a really, really competitive roster. Old roster, tough roster, physical. They play the right way. It's interesting, not much has been written or said, at least nationally, I don't think, about the fact that Coach has got his roots somewhere up in Wisconsin. That Coach Gard, he worked for Coach Gard at Wisconsin, and what do we think about Wisconsin's teams? We think about basketball. We think about tough, physical, fewer possessions in a game. Get the ball inside, play good inside-out basketball. Wisconsin probably leads the Big Ten almost every year in scoring defense, and so should be no surprise that South Carolina leads the SEC in scoring defense. 65 points a game is not a lot of points. So, this game will be won with defense and rebounding, and obviously we'll have to do a better job of executing.
At several points this season, you've talked about kind of different wins you've had that may make you feel like comfortable to be to say you can contend for a conference title in this league. As you look at this week against two ranked teams, I guess, how do you approach this week, maybe being at the point where you feel like you can contend for that with a week like this coming up?
Well, I think that so far the two wins that allowed me to feel like there may have even been three, but beating Ole Miss twice, that's an NCAA tournament team, and then beating Alabama at home, obviously an NCAA tournament team, potentially, a team that can advance in the tournament, or a team that's certainly contending for the league championship, said to me, okay, then we have a chance to be better than where we were picked, sixth in the league. And certainly now, we've been talking all season long about being in position and being in position, and that's where we find ourselves in. If we want to win the championship, we have to beat South Carolina tomorrow. It's pretty simple. Already being a game behind them, 2 games behind them, with 6 then to go, would be something I don't think we would be able to overcome. So it's it's going to be a real challenge because they've only lost 3 games. And there's obviously a reason for that. They have great inside-out play. They've got great guard play, physical guard play. I think Florida's guards are those 4 guards that Florida has are probably as good as any 4-guard combination in our league. But South Carolina is going to be one of those teams that you'd say, hey, between Cooper and Michi Johnson, and just pretty good backcourt. And then of course the front court, they got a freshman who's going to be a pro, and BJ has been extremely effective for them as a real mismatch. He's a 270-pound scoring guard, is what he really is.
Bruce, is South Carolina the best example of just what SEC basketball is coming? Because this team was picked to finish dead last in the league in their first place in February. Just, kind of how from top to bottom this league's got a ton of talent and a lot of good coaching.
Well, I think it's it speaks to the commitment the SEC has in all sports, but men's basketball being absolutely no different. They've got I don't know if the South Carolina women are still ranked one, or they won. They're one in the country, and so they fill that building all the time. And now the South Carolina men are starting to draw, just like every place else in our league. So yeah, just a great example of the parity that exists in college basketball.
Bruce, for y'all last week, Alabama chooses to back off and not double Janai. Florida does a little bit more of that. With South Carolina's size, or a little bit lack thereof, do you anticipate that? And I guess, how do you guys go about not knowing what that matchup is going to be like for Janai every night?
Yeah, South Carolina's not doubled a lot. They've got really good size in there. They'll mix it up a little bit. Florida hasn't really doubled that much, and they're just so big and so long. There was just a lot of length in the neighborhood inside, and Alabama did choose not to double. So, but we had a significant size advantage over Alabama. We did not over Florida, and you'll see by the size of South Carolina, big, strong boys, and so they won't be. We're going to play through our best players, and Janai is clearly, one of our best players, and we'll continue to play through him.
Bruce, what are the keys to playing a team like South Carolina, especially one that wants to limit possessions as much as possible? Like what's the kind of the challenge of that for you guys, especially on defense?
We'll try to speed them up when possible. You just got to understand what they like to do offensively, and what's the best way to take those things away defensively, and try to lock into a game plan. We don't play the same way defensively every night. We got to play hard every night, but we don't guard the same way every night because we try to. We're a scouting report. We're a scouting report offense and defense based on how you guard us and what you like to do offensively. So, I think being really mindful of the game plan and be mindful of the strategy and at the end of the day too, understand South Carolina is very, very physical. So was Florida, and we were probably more physical than Alabama was, and so the more physical team won last week.
Kind of a total tangent question here, but a few weeks ago we got a copy of some of Auburn's budget report information, and in there included Auburn's basketball recruiting budget, which is skyrocketed over the past five years. And I bring that all up to say over the last 4 years you've had 4 All-Americans. I mean, 4 McDonald's All-Americans. How have you seen maybe Auburn's commitment, maybe financially, or what you've been able to do in recruiting change to be able to be at a level where you can get 4 McDonald's All-Americans and this time frame?
Well, can I take a pass on that? I don't know any idea. I have no idea what you're talking about budgets, or I couldn't even. So I just pass.
I know you guys, like you talked about after the Florida game, a short week there. How did you feel like the response was, maybe in terms of, you guys are getting closer to your bye week here. Do you feel like the grind of the league is affecting the guys yet, or how do you feel like they responded to that?
No, I mean, we were tired Saturday, obviously, and didn't quite have the pop that we needed to have. But I think everybody's in the grind, so there's no, real difference. Everybody's experiencing it. South Carolina played 2 last week, and our situation was probably playing Wednesday and having to travel Friday was a lot, considering there were a bunch of other bye teams that had situations, but they all played at home after the bye, and for some reason we didn't. So
wanted to ask you about Chaney, near double-double the other day, and we've asked you about kind of how he feels like he's coming on. In a matchup like this against South Carolina with the versatility they have their big man, like how big is a guy like being able to bring a guy like Chaney off the bench?
We have four guys on the front line. Janai Broom and Dylan Carwell and Jalen Williams and Chaney Johnson. And, South Carolina is going to have four guys in the front line. A couple of them will start, but, our strength is when everybody contributes. And if you've looked at our losses, we've had some losses where not everybody contributed. And so that's when we play best, when we have great balance. So it was great to see Chaney play with such confidence. And the other thing that was great about it was this. He's one of our hardest workers. He is always in the gym. Even though he's coming off the bench, his attitude, his study, he does a great job in the classroom. He does a great job in his preparation, his practice. And so I'm glad to see that he got rewarded, with some really good play. And, we've got, obviously, we've worked all spring, summer, and fall to get to right here.